contact with other societies brought in the wealth which allowed the Greeks to prosper. But to really understand what made their society unique, we need to look at the geography of their homeland. The Greek landscape of islands and rugged mountains, until very recently, made travel within Greece difficult and acted as a barrier to communication. Mountain passes like this were the only way to travel overland between some regions, either on foot or on the back of a horse or donkey. The mountains and the sea also restricted the land available for agriculture to areas on the coast and to small plains between the mountain ranges. Within this landscape, in those areas which were good for agriculture, towns of different sizes developed. Some even became like small cities. These towns and cities provided a meeting point and services such as government for the people who lived in town and the surrounding countryside. As the natural features of the landscape divided the country up, these towns developed independently because they were cut off from their neighbours. One town in a region often became more powerful and extended its influence over an inland plain or along the coast. Each town developed its own laws, government and army, and the area it influenced became like an independent country, even though the inhabitants of the different towns were all part of the one society. We call these independent regions city-states, and this organization, influenced by the landscape itself, meant that the Greeks showed loyalty to their city-state, rather than to a single nation. One major difference between the city-states was the way they were governed, and historians studying ancient inscriptions and texts can tell us about the different forms of government which developed all over Greece. In some city-states, like here at Sparta, a council of wealthy landowners made all the important decisions for the rest of the community. We call this type of government an oligarchy. In other city-states, like Athens, the citizens, and only men were considered citizens, gathered together in assemblies and voted on the laws and policies which would govern them. Everyone could have a say, but inevitably the best speakers usually got their way. This type of government is called a democracy. Although political differences made each city-state unique, we regard all the ancient Greeks as belonging to one society because of the many things they had in common. At times, particular city-states would band together and form alliances to defend their land if threatened or attacked. And all the Greeks shared a common language and worshipped the same gods. At special sacred places, like here at Olympia, home of the ancient Olympic Games, the Greeks would forget their differences for a few days and compete together in honor of their chief god, Zeus. The victors were crowned with olive wreaths, and just like our Olympic athletes today, they received a hero's welcome when they returned home.
To find out about the everyday life for the people who lived in these city-states, the pictures painted on their pots can provide a wealth of information. At our banquet here, the meal has finished, and all that remains are some leftover cakes. perhaps made of cheese and sweetened with honey. Cups and baskets hang from the dining room wall, and the men recline on elaborately decorated couches. The wine is flowing and drinking games are being played, whilst the lyre accompanies songs of legends and heroes. These people could come from many different walks of life. They may be farmers, poets or shopkeepers, but all share a loyalty to their city-state and rely on the activities of others in their day-to-day world.